Yeah, no, it's Canaval, Monday and Tuesday. How are you feeling? Because I ain't dealing with this too good. I recording this, what would it be Carnival Monday night? Oh no, I might be home by now, but now my foot hurting and walking back across Mukarapa Road heading home. And now it's nada. I never thought for the life of me when I was starting this podcast that I would be home recording a podcast on Carnival Monday night. My belly hurting, my heart is aching. Look, people laughing. Welcome to episode 37 of the Corey Shepherd Podcast. Welcome back to everybody who's been listening. Welcome to all new listeners. Thank you for everybody who's been subscribing on YouTube and all the podcast platforms. Is available everywhere, so check it out. Subscribe, like, share, download, all the nice things, right? Help me out. Yeah, this is a rough time, you know. I didn't think I'm doing so well. I mean, thank God I have all to come and talk to and come and record something, and you know what I mean? Because I know how to make out if I had nothing to do over these 2 days here. And I can't believe I spend the whole day working and I'm going to spend the whole day working tomorrow. A different boy. And you know, I'll get up just in time to look at Instagram and people making me feel sick. People like Omari Ashby and them who still blue and in mud and thing in the savannah. I see my friend Bobby Douglas in the savannah. Listen, I can't go in the savannah, you know. I'm not going nowhere near that savannah. I ain't even going around with savannah. I stay home and just let these 2 days pass. And what we doing? We taking ashes because we ain't really sin. How much sin we really do to say we going for ashes Ash Wednesday? You know what I mean? We supposed to be in the clear. I just hoping there are 2 carnival next year, you know, being honest. I hoping that 2022, as you know, 2022, they should have a carnival in February and then a next one all back to school time. So all, you know, September, October, give you a next one, you know what I mean? Drop back 2. Let's see if we can make up for this because this not right. I never thought we'd be here carnival time, but we're here. So let's get into the business of the week. Where's the business of the week in this country, boy? You know, before I get into the culture, I see something in a little meme going wrong. Not a meme. Some people make a video. It had too much cussing to play on this, right? It was really plenty cussing because the man real cussy partner for blocking the video. I don't know if all see it, but it's a video going wrong with a fellow who's stuck in a drain. The driver, like he trying to drive across a drain and he gets stuck. And then 2 people had to come out the car. And when they come out the car, he was able to come out. But the man who said no, they get stuck. The reason they don't want to come out the car is because double palm, they call a car to pick them up from. Like somehow double palm make this irrelevant over this little season here because them 2 people, I know, listen, that happened to me before. I'll get to that story, right? But it's at the next one where people ordering pizza and thing in the palm. I wonder what is going on. What kind of romancing people doing up in the double palm? But I see that video and I start to feel my belly start to hurt me. I start to feel sick. Because boy, believe it or not, that happened to me already. I gone up in a spot, right? Let me be careful, pick my words right here. I went up in a spot and Junior Kelly said, boy, I have my husband. No, you have your husband. You have your husband and I have my wife. I didn't spotted people, woman, boy, back in the day. And when I drive in all these spots, I mean, any man who listening to this story know we have a brain before and a brain after. The brain after is a little more wise, but it's also much more tired. It's exhausted, you know what I mean? So I don't know if it's exhaustion or nervousness because when time come and I had to carry this woman back up the road, I frightened out to drive. And I drive out and miss they have a little driveway paved to come back onto I don't want to say the place now. Yeah, there's a long time. The spot is in Cookery. They don't exist no more. But you had to come back out onto the, what is called that, the main road out by West Shore and them there. You had to come back out onto the boy. And you know, I don't know. I drive out and my car stick down in the drain. Because I missed the little ramp. It have a little ramp back. Great to carry straight over into the road. I missed the grate. First my headlight. And my wheels stick down in it. And now I had to come out the car now and try to get her to drive to thing. And you know there's a busy road. Cars pelting coming down the road. So I'm trying to get her to reverse. And here now, this time I out the car. I expose. She out the car trying to think. And I say, oh God. This had no good ending. So that's just a random story, but I really feel it for them people when I see them how to come out of that taxi. I've been there. I know how that feels. Anyway, into the business of the week. Where to start? It has so much bacchanal in the news. I think maybe I should just start with the music and thing. Maybe let me start on a lighter note. This weekend we saw a good few events, quote unquote, virtual, sort of in person, some little hybrid type events. So from everything I saw from Kess events, I really say I would have go, but by the time I tried to find out, tickets were sold out. I kind of glad I didn't go to it, to be honest. But from everything I saw, my cousin Carla and Ed, so my guy Ed, they went and they said they had a great time. They had a great time to the point where they went on, I think it was the Thursday night, and then they take it in home when it's show on Saturday night too. Now, I want to salute the set designer for Kess. I mean, he's do a lot of work outside of that too, but it seems that every Kess concert, they've been doing the backdrops and the work for it. That's Ben Geyer. They would have done, if you remember, when St. Mary's Fete had caused a big spectacle with the underwater thing, how amazing the deco and everything was. That was Ben Geyer at the time. And this time on the set, they recreate a spot on the avenue, Carlos Street and Arpita Avenue. Kind of recreate. And I was seeing pictures of it from people. People wasn't supposed to take pictures, but it's Trinis, a little pictures come out and thing. And I was wondering where on the avenue to do this. It was so well designed and well lit and everything. That man is a genius, boy. And his team, salute to them because they came up with a set that was amazing. And I mean, Kess is a performer, so I expected nothing less. The reason I'm saying that I'm glad I ain't go is because I don't know if I could have just sit down. I don't know that I could have sit down and listen to that. I remember I hear Carla say she try her best and she sit down until Iowa come on and run through the middle of the thing and gone up on stage. Iowa energy and everything, especially because while on any other carnival, this would be a second, third, fourth fete. You don't see what artists have here. Imagine your first fete is on a carnival week. That is craziness for most people. So we as Trinis get a taste of the foreign base and the fresh waters, you know what I mean? I guess that's how the fresh waters is feel. That's why the fresh waters is becoming here getting on so excited on the first week of carnival, like, well, they never seen nothing before. But I'm sorry for bad talking only because he always feel now. Because if that first fete is quite down the week before carnival, you will be a little extra. So maybe it's a good thing I keep myself home. But salute to Kess and his team for putting on out as a great show. I took in a good few, but I want to talk about the Soca Monarch in particular. The people in Soca Monarch put together a good production. They did well. I enjoy watching the show. It was tighter than any other Soca Monarch. My complaint about Soca Monarch is usually, not Soca Monarch now, shows in this country. I hope we learn something from this virtual carnival and we start to keep it tight where shows concerned. 1.5, 2 hours maximum. Try and treat the shows we go to like a movie. We can't really sit down and take in a show for 5-6 hours. It's better. We have to treat the viewing audience different from the attending audience. And that's something that I feel we could take away and keep from this virtual carnival where I had to watch what's going on. I can't sit down home and watch this thing for 5-6 hours. Sometimes our Soca Monarchies go from guest performances in the beginning, then to have a whole set of groovy guest performers in the middle. Every artist had to get interview in between. And then 1-2 o'clock in the morning, past old people hours like myself, we now waiting up to see what is happening. And another thing that I feel we should keep from this virtual carnival before I get into the Soca Monarch is Soca Monarch in particular gives us, like, Trinidad Twitter is getting lively during Soca Monarch. I don't know if you're on Twitter and everything, but it should be. But it's one of the funniest things you will see to be on Twitter while you're watching Soca Monarch. And because we had nothing else to do and we had no events to go, Twitter was lively for most of these events. People was online on it, or people was on Clubhouse talking about it. Twitter was going lively and stuff. So if we treat the way we put on shows like Soca Monarch, or Kess the Band, or whichever show it is, where we have a portion of it that produced for consumption on TV and online and on your phone and in laptops and stuff. And then you treat separately with the people who there. I feel we onto something there. Because the Twitter thing, nobody who in the fete not tweeting nothing. Only fetting and jamming people, which is understandable. But people who watching home or people who watching abroad, which realizing there's definitely an audience, something we had to tap into. We could do that in a tighter space of time, get the Twitter lively, put hashtags in place so that we could follow the events and things. I just hoping that we take the learnings from it. So when the 7-to-1s and them come in and the 10-to-1s come in from quite over so, it's better we collecting that revenue because we have no more oil and gas, right? So we need every cent that come back here for Carnival from next year, right? for the two carnivals we have in next year. But what we could also do is for the earlier fets, like Mocha is be pretty early. Soca is one of them early fets that is go to Rise and Rose. So, you know my fet list by now. We could find elements of that to put online and charge them a little foreign base, a little $5, a little $10, so everybody could be online taking elements of the fet and we make some foreign exchange. We had to do something, right? We have no money. But anyway, Soca Monarch production was decent. I find it was good. They open with Aaron Duncan. I'm not sure how they chose the order of it. And they, unlike the road march, had judges. So they had Patrice Roberts and them judging. That was a little bit different for me. I think Valkyrie Mirage too was a judge. I suppose his strength will be on the production, which makes sense. You know what I mean? What the presentation was like and what the production was like. I wasn't sure about Patrice Roberts judging as a current soca artist who may or may not be in the competition again. I find it was kind of awkward having her as a judge. But other than that, Aaron Duncan came out. He put his best foot forward. All of them. Trinidad Killer, he sang off key like hell. Trinidad Killer sounded like he wasn't here in the he sounded like he wasn't here in the monitors or something in front of him because he was off key for most of the song. But you know what? He's a kind of natural. I don't know if it's natural, but he's a kind of performer. So he will always keep your interest and keep you going. But no doubt about it, the top performances was probably the top three. I don't know if Nappy was the winner. Nappy is always a winner in my books, but if you have somebody that judging delivery and production and those things, it would be hard to top what Ding Dong and they did. Ding Dong and Mikkel Teisha. Because they didn't just deliver their song. They had a whole production and the performance was on point. And they had a little bit of a story. They changed up some of the lyrics. They talk about the Andrea Bharatt situation, protecting women. They throw some talk for farmers, saying farmer go perform till he's 1,000. Maybe I shouldn't have said that because when the people realize how old farmer is, they must decide they will game it before. Maybe that was where they make a bad skylark. But you had to like Ding Dong. I think Ding Dong is my new favorite soca artist. So Ding Dong is the most infectious person to have. When you see him, you had to laugh and smile and forget whatever problem you have. Ding Dong could put it out the door. Yes, Ding Dong is my new hero. And Olatunji is a performer. No doubt about it. They could say what they want about him. He have his ins and outs. Sometimes he don't even have the biggest song, but the energy he's put into a performance, it's electric. I only remember Olatunji dive in the pool with the people microphone. That's what I mean. He putting everything into the performance. And he sang a song. I don't find it to be the most popular song. I ain't hearing it playing no way or nothing like that. Alcohol nearly killed me. Listen, that was an old song, I think it was Lord Griner who sang last year the landlord nearly killed me. He nearly killed me with a buoy last night the landlord nearly killed me. So it's a remake of an old song, but Ola come out in a sailor's outfit and his whole style and his production, they deserve to get Ola it, man. I mean, Ola win one already. I think they say Farmer never win one, so I think maybe they just give Farmer that. I saw Black's energy wasn't where it usually is. I suppose Black's coming off the health issues and so on. Blacks do the best he could do, and he had a real decent performance. It was real good. And while I was watching Soca Monarch, I was trying to flip back to Bunji and them show because they had a verse show at the time, and well, I find that was a good production and everything too. I mean, the whole show was really about Fayan outfits, to be honest. Fayan had all kind of different outfit planned for the night. And funny enough, I was thinking, as a husband and wife, I really never see them share an intimate moment on the stage. But boy, that went out the door kind of fast because the kind of drag tongue and thing was going on down there. You know what I mean? Maybe the Valentine's was in the air. But that made me realize something else too about our virtual carnival. And this is where my critique for NCC had started from and will continue to come from. Because I find it was a real good opportunity to come together with all the fat promoters. So we know Bunji, all the biggest artists want to put on a show, right? Plus you still have Second Star who have a show, Preedy have a show. And then you have your Patrice, your Marshall doing something on the Monday night. The wedding, assuming is a repeat of last year's Marshall Monday. Kess doing 5 shows. I think Blacks had his show. it would have been good if the organizing body for Canaval came together with everybody and said, listen, there's a virtual experience. So what we want to do to package our Canaval and make the two Canavals we have in 2022 even better is to stagger the events. Don't have 3 and 4 events going on at the same time because we have one captive audience, right? So what we want to do is to feed that audience and see if we could build on that audience. So while you're doing Soca Monarch, you could have put a different time slot or work it out with people like Bunji and them because Soca Monarch had no audience. So in theory, you could have shown it at any time. Bunji had an audience, Kes had an audience. So they will be better scheduled where it's easiest for people to go to the show, like 7, 8 o'clock or whatever the time was. And then do the virtual things around that. So we say, all right, this is premiering at X time. So that people could go from one show to the next, make the experience like how we would go Soca Monarch the night and then we go, what them boat rides name the morning again, who was fighting last year? I think I can't remember the 2 people who was fighting last year for the Saturday morning boat ride, and one never went off. And then we go Private Ryan after, and then we wake up and go breakfasts, and then we go Lara. You could have created that same thing in the virtual space rather than 3, 4 events coming the same time. And we had to fight up now to see little clips of each, and then it mashing up the little Twitter banter. So I thought it was a golden opportunity to do something like that. And when you think about it, you could have go to Kyrie people and tell them, listen, we want you to go ahead and put on your production at breakfast is whatever your version of a virtual breakfast is. And put it at the same time. Put it 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. That's your play for your Indian audience and your Chinese audience. You know, the Australia, where you're in a different time zone. So, I mean, that's just me. What am I talking about? Who was going to come up with all that? Especially when everything seemed to be planned over the last 2 or 3 weeks. I suppose you had to watch the numbers and then decide where you're planning. But it was good. It was good. I think the Soca Monarch was good. Congratulations to Farmer. If you know anything about me, Farmer is easily one of my favorite soca artists. So I'm glad to see him win. Although, to be honest with you, outside of within the biggest artists in Soca Monarch, Farmer looked the most uncomfortable singing without a crowd, which was surprising because I was really talking him up the way he performed in Illusions Black to Blue. But boy, he was looking out of sorts, boy. He was like giving commands to people and things. It was real awkward. And salute to Melly Rose. Melly Rose, that was her first Soca Monarch. As well as Aaron Duncan, I think as new artists, not new, but new to Soca Monarch stage, I think both of them hold it down. And I really enjoy watching Melly Rose because me know the song and me know her too good. But she looked like she enjoyed herself. When I like to see when a performer like genuinely enjoying what they do. It always makes for a better show. So salute to the guys at Soca Monarch. They do a good job. I expected to be coming here bad talking all and thing, but it was really good. And I'm glad they do it too. So we had something to watch Friday night. You can't walk away from it though without a reminder that Trinidad is the home of bubble. Because in the midst of the Soca Monarch, when we come to see who win and who thing, in the middle of it, is a scalper who they interviewing outside the state. And they find a real life scalper, Man said they have a scalpers association. Last time I checked, scalping tickets was illegal. Even on the ticket they say that. But they find a scalper from the scalpers association. And then just interview him, they ask him how he dealing with these times, you know what I mean? It's no Canaval, he making no money. The man say business slow. Anyhow, let me talk about Tribe and Lavway. Now, when I hear Tribe was going to do a production, I expected the production to be good because my little bit of experience with Tribe, I play mass with Tribe once. And any masquerader who you hear talk about Tribes always talk about the Tribe experience, how organized they are from when you're paying for your costume to when you have to go and collect to the organization on your road. I could vouch for that extent, right? Because Tribe is one of the best bands. I play with Fantasy, Humor, and Tribe. I think that's the 3 bands I play with over the years here in recent times. And of all of them, Tribe is always impressive. And Stacey's played with Tribe every year. So when I watch her package and I watch my package from Fantasy, I used to feel sick because Tribe packages look very, very premium. Costume price is the same, but their packages look premium. Their costumes look well put together. I mean, I don't know if it's the best designed costumes ever. It's kind of a little basic, but in terms of the workmanship, it used to look better than what Fantasy was giving you, to be honest. But my experience with Tribe was not really. I wouldn't play with Tribe again. I feel I too old for Tribe, to be honest. I don't think the problem is Tribe. The problem is probably me, because of all the years I play Mass, my foot never hurt me the way it hurt me when I play with Tribe. Now, the shoes turned out to be a bad idea too, so I have some blame to put on the shoes. But that band too big. It's too hard to find people when you lost them. Me and Stacey was in two different sections to find them back. And at my eyesight poor, so when I in that lunch spot and there's people in there like ants, you can't even see nobody. It's too big. But again, that's a me problem. That is not necessarily a Tribe problem. And the trucks is moved too fast. Again, a me problem. I'm 40. I cannot keep up with Tribe trucks. I don't know where they're going so fast. The route too long. Fantasy route used to be right there. I like that. And Yuma might be the sweet spot in the middle, because plenty time I play Mass. When that band reached Matura Street in St. James, I done play Mass. When I reached by my mother, I done. But Tribe was just too big. It was going for too long, too fast. And I don't understand. Tribe have this thing they do on the road where it has stock taken for drinks. Somebody had to explain that to me. If you're an all-inclusive band and everybody have a band who had to access drinks, I'm trying to figure out what they're taking stock for. And why White Oak just run out, and I can't understand. And there was never in a band where White Oak run out other than Tribe. That is the cheapest liquor to have, I think. I mean, between White Oak and Punchin, you should never run out of that. But all in all, the experience is pretty decent. I just don't think it's for me. I ain't able to do it. I might stick. I'll get Yuma next year, maybe next year for sure. Well, my mass partners and them say Yuma is home, so Yuma is home for now. But I like to switch it up. I don't like to do the same thing for too long. So maybe in the first Canaval of 2022, I'll play with Yuma. And then the second Canaval, I will decide on what band I'm playing with for that. But all in all, when I hear his Tribe, because I understand how much work goes into what they do, I tell myself it will be a good show. But it was more than I expected. The thing was well produced. It's no way around it. When you look at the show, it was a lot of choreography, the production quality was high. You could immerse yourself in the show itself. I wish they had marketed it differently or marketed it more, because I kind of was home. When was it? The Sunday night. It was the same night as the March Gras, I believe. And was it, boy? It's either Saturday or Sunday night, whichever night it was. I just kind of take it in on my computer. I wish I had made more of it, you know what I mean? Get the family together and put it on the big screen and get some nice volume to it and everything. And I'll probably do that still, make a little lime home and do it, because the production value was really, really high. I felt like I was in Canaval show. It's the best parallel I could draw for you if you ever went to Canaval show that usually goes on Carnival week. Canaval puts a lot of effort into that show. And when I sit down in Queen's Hall for Canaval show, I used to be lost. You forget where you are taking in that show. It was so good. And some productions you see in Little Carib Theatre too that just... Little Carib Theatre is a special place. I mean, overall, the feel of that place is hard to replicate. And they took it there. The show was not the typical local... Calypso or Carnival show where it starts with an announcer and two people having that awkward kind of banter. You watch every show that we put on, even the ones that I talk real highly of this year, and it always starts off with two hosts, a male and a female, who having some kind of awkward back and forth that's not funny, and it's just awkward. This went straight into it, and I had to say first, before I get into the details of it, salute. You see, Nikolai Salcedo, he's a general. As an actor, that man carried that story. When I saw him in the beginning of the story, I thought they were like it was something where they would use multiple people. And so I said, hey, Nikolai. Well, Nikolai was my schoolmate, so I'm taking credit for knowing Nikolai. They're my partner, not Fatima Tranquil. I never hear Nikolai say a word in Tranquil. In that hour that he talked there is more than I ever hear him talk in the 2 years I was with him in Tranquil. But I really thought that was going to be just him just saying something or another, and then it move on to more and more hosts or narrators like we typically do. But he carried that boy from beginning to end. That man's stories, the performances and everything was great. But if you didn't see it yet, and if you see it, you know what I'm talking about. His stories and his portrayal. Playing he playing an old man, he playing a snow cone man, the corn soup and everything, you know, and like, when you watch it or you watch it over, because it have rewatch value, it's good enough for you to go and take it in again. Watch him in particular during his skits. A lot of the things happening during his skits, not adding up fully, but boy, he tying it together. But because watching him with the corn soup, and that man throwing some whole pepper in that corn soup and cutting up some big pieces. The thing ain't looking nothing like a corn soup when they show it. The gas tank high up in the air like it's on a double decker. But whoever put together this set is a genius, because we got to keep in mind is that they don't have a whole stage to put together a show like Queen's Hall or Napa or even Little Carib Theatre. They're dealing with a small screen. Some people watching on their phone, a tablet, a laptop. Whoever do this set design thing is a genius. And Nikolai, I couldn't imagine somebody better to pull the whole thing together, but he had me totally engrossed in that show. And I mean, if you listen to this podcast long enough, you know me and old time Kaiso. So when they're early in the show, they bring here now water in my eye, but when they bring them youths, and a salute to Valkyrie Maraj and his team for putting together that, because it's deliberate. If you ask me, that they choose some of the younger artists to sing the long time Kaiso, like they had Pretty singing Always One Family. I think voicing Melda. Is Melda voicing? And College Boy Jesse come and sing David Rudder. Everybody, oh God, boy, College Boy Jesse, different boy. When that man, that song is a special song, that everybody hand raise. David Rudder. And is not the easiest song for anybody but David Rudder to sing and carry. Because of the feeling if you're a masquerade or you're a feta or you're into the carnival, it's a spiritual song, not just in the words, it's the feel it is give you when David Rudder sing that song and deliver it. And if you remember the video and everything too, that is a difficult song for any artist to go and pick up and say they're singing. But College Boy Jesse, boy, he different. And the thing about him, he mysterious. Because the man win a Soca Monarch and me know who is he and me know who is his song. Even after he win, I hear College Boy Jesse win. I didn't even care to go and look for what his song was or nothing. But the way he went with that song, boy. That man carried that song in a different space than we usually hear it and feel it, but it was real, real good. Something about him is remember Ola Tunji too. I think it's how he genuine with the way he's perform a song and the way he carry a song. So that was really, really good. And then he had the Patrice and Destra and them come out and do some older songs with their own song. I mean, it was really nice, boy. And even going back to Nikolai, when Nikolai was the snow cone man, and he say, the spirit of Rose and the spirit of Shadow. And you hear the little clip of the song. Hey, them men put together a show. I can't tell you too much about it. You have to go and look for Lavway. Lavway. Go and look for it on YouTube. And don't just look for it. Get yourself a nice little drink and some nice to eat. Treat it like you're going to the theater. Dress up too. Put on some nice and go. You know what I mean? And put on a nice loudspeaker and feel them drums. When they're singing and feel Terry Lyons' spirit, feel Super Blue. Come true Terry Lyons in that thing. Feel it. Don't just watch it. Feel it. And they went to several, they didn't just do Calypso and Soca. They went through several elements of the carnival. When I watch this stick fighting thing, but I want to listen, I don't know how they put together that. I don't know much about production and them kind of things and what it would take to do the camera work. Salute to my guy Shane Hossain. He went to school with me, so I taking real credit for taking up Shane Hossain. Went to school with me, and he was one of the people behind there. I'm going to reach out to Shane and have some ideas for Shane. But the way they put together that little piece of, I guess, choreography and video work for the stick fighters, and they keep some traditional stick fighter chants. I don't know if people who watch it was hearing it. Like when you watch. If you ever went to stick fighting or if you know anything about stick fighting, a big part of stick fighting is that chanting or that lav. I don't know if it's called that lavway too, but because the music I play, when I play music with some fellas from in the valley, man like Scratch and a side named Honeybees, the men deeply entrenched in the history. So when somebody pass away and you have to go by their house to play music, there's going to a flow of songs that directly from them stick fighting days. Like when a dead bury me close, I don't want nobody to cry for me. When a dead bury me, all them things come directly from the stick fighting arena. So it was nice to hear them bring some of them elements right into it. And boy, listen, because stick fighting is badness. You know, the little chance something was about badness. They're gonna kill the next team basically. So that was nice to see. And then the end of that, I don't know what that was. A piece of choreography with some people in some water. Just listen, just go and watch the show. Make yourself some nice, make it into an event. I promised myself to do that too. Where I could rewatch it from beginning to end with some people and really just enjoy that and immerse myself in that. Tribe, salute to y'all. Y'all do a great job. Whoever's the organizers of it, Beyond Tribe, Valkyrie Mirage, Nikolai Salcedo is a general. I hope to see more and more and more from you. And I'm going to make it my business to seek out what you'll be doing. Because you're just a mysterious guy generally. Since I know him from school days, he was mysterious. And now even more mysterious to me. Like when you watch his Facebook, you're trying to figure out what this man exactly is do. But now I know what he's doing. He's just destroy things. So that was really good. And I'm glad to have a production like that. Now, in terms of Tribe, and I could say the same for Soca Monarch. It again proven what I'm talking about in terms of the concept of a virtual carnival and why I found it so ludicrous. Look, we at the end of the thing, but look, we had a virtual carnival. So why would the head of NCC say virtual carnival is an oxymoron? It's really not. Look, we just do it. We just had it. And I saw Soca Monarch. When I was looking back at Soca Monarch to do research for this episode, when I go on YouTube to look at Soca Monarch, a Grenadian TV station coming up with Grenadian ads. I thought I was looking at the wrong thing at first. So it means that the production could be sold and syndicated to other TV stations all over the world. It have rewatch value. I mean, the Soca Monarch so specific to a time and a title, but definitely what Tribe put together, what Illusions put together. Those things have resale value. You could go back and look at that anytime. That's a nice thing if you have a lime home by you to just take in. I wish there was more out and out fets and productions, because think about this, right? If I invite people by me and I have a lime, let me assume it's no COVID, right? And I could have a little lime and a thing by me. It would be so nice to play a full live type performance rather than just have to go on YouTube and look for a mix from different DJs or play songs from Apple Music or something like that. Imagine if you could have played out a whole fet. Because in a fete, the music don't really stop. It's one of the nice things about a fete. If the only time they will stop for is to announce and bring somebody on, it would be so nice to have things like that have reuse value overall. But again, salute to everybody who make an effort. They had some shows that wasn't so great. Like I was watching I'm to the Marsh Gras. I ain't even taking the Marsh Gras now, boy. I was supposed to take the Marsh Gras for this podcast, but I ain't watching. We can talk about that next week. If it's still relevant, I will talk about it, because I ain't really watch the whole thing. What I was watching was a vintage calypso thing, and I see men like Valentino and Explainer and that show was good too. I think they went for bringing back the feel of a calypso tent. Even now, I find like, I wonder how hard would it be for somebody like the Ministry of Tourism or Culture, or maybe they come together and talk to people like Valkyrie Mirage and them and see if they could take different elements of the carnival and turn it into a 1 hour special, like what they do for Tribe. So if you take the history of Calypso and the Calypso tent something, or you take something like the Cambule riots and you tell them, listen, we want an hour out of this. We want the story, we want the history. And those are things that beyond what we could do just to amuse ourselves or give some entertainment during a time like this, is something that we could use on a global platform to say, hey, listen, pay us and we will show you this. This is about us. This is who we are. Think about Bob Marley movie. Every time Bob Marley movie showing, I watch that. And sometimes I just go and watch it because it was so good it was so well produced and well put together, and you just get some history of Bob Marley that I didn't know and people might not know. And forget me, think of people like Zachary, who wouldn't have been alive at any point when he was alive or anything like that. He could go back and watch that documentary when he get older and he starts to like reggae and learn a lot about Bob Marley that me and you might take for granted. So it's like, our ministries could go to people like Val and say, here, what's going on? You see Sparrow, give you an hour. Give you an hour and a half. Give you something that we could take and make into something where it's documented. And then he don't have to necessarily worry about the profitability of it or selling it or shopping it. The ministry and they have it there, and we could put it on any platform, whether we make it free on something like YouTube or we make it paid like what Kes do on Tego. Something where you could show Sparrow, you could show Kitchener Rose, you have Nelson. So all these people still alive. There's so much of history there. Or even, you ever notice when you're watching a lot of things about reggae, like even in the beginning of that Bob Marley movie, his school teacher was talking about how Bob get into music. And she was singing a basic kind of nursery rhyme, but listen to the flow of the nursery rhyme she was singing about. Hee haw, a donkey she was singing about. It's little nursery rhymes and thing, but the thing have so much of a feel of a Lavway or a Kaiso or a Calypso. And in the beginning of that movie, they said the main music in Jamaica was mento, Calypso. You know what I mean? So the Calypso would have been the one that birthed reggae. And to me, the people who talking about the history of reggae, they don't ever hide that. It's not like they're trying to say, well, Calypso had no influence on them. They talk about it all the time in terms of what influenced them to create reggae and where the sound of ska came from. And of course, it evolved and is a whole different thing today, but it would have been born out of the same Calypso that we somehow always want to turn our back on and don't see much value in. So when you go back to the beginning of the Bob Marley movie and listen to one of the first songs they were talking about that influenced the music in Sintana at the time, fire, fire is a soca, a kaiso kind of, a Lavway or Calypso kind of style. So even if we go to them and say, listen, we want to talk about the history of Calypso and where it would have contributed to reggae in Jamaica, we could make productions like that. We have some, and I don't want to single out Val. I mean, Val and Valky Maraj do a great job on this, so that's why I'm talking about him. But we have plenty of other people who could put on productions at a high level. So imagine I was just talking about the Ben Gaia who would have done Cassette and Valky Maraj. I mean, you could imagine putting something like that together to talk about Lord Kitchener when he went to London, how he get influenced, why his music in his songs used to sound so much like big band swing music, like a whole orchestra playing some of his original songs. Like, why not? You know what I mean? We in a virtual space anyway. When the Canaval done and it's Ash Wednesday, it come like nothing happened. Just like when no knock on the religious people, but it come just like when 2020 reached 2021. It come like nothing happened, because once we in COVID, all this is 1 year to me. Yeah? So we may as well continue and build on the strength of some of these performances to the person who we're trying to attract to come to our Carnival, who are abroad now. They don't care that his thing and his Lent and Carnival done and he mustn't play soca again. We should continue along this same vein, get more of those productions there. What Tribe did there with Lavway is permanent. That there forever. I don't know if it will be available on YouTube forever, but it is done. It could be packaged, it could be reused, clips of it could be used and things. So we could do elements of that and say, like, just document these stories or something. And I'm not saying you just have to do that for the veterans or the older artists. I mean, please, somebody do it before Stalin go. You know what I mean? But you could do it for Marshall, you could do it for Voice, you could do it for Second Star. We just have to do more things like this and put them out there. And it don't only have to be about soca and calypso. We had chutney music. You could imagine a story like this about Ricky Jai and his experience in the calypso tent and going straight chutney and doing chutney soca and doing so much, you know what I mean? Ravi B, his success in places like Guyana. All right, I'm rambling. I'm going on and on. Let me get my point, right? I just hope that the powers that be, they could pick this up and turn this into something that could make our two carnivals next year the most successful doubleheader carnival in the history of doubleheader carnivals. Now, as we are on the topic of the bosses, the policy makers, plenty happened this week outside of we had the carnival and thing, but because the fets was virtual and the events was virtual and everything was done at home and online, and we had no physical fet to go to, so we consume a little less alcohol, a little less time on the road, no hustle and bustle to get tickets from this one and that one, no clothes to buy, no running to Miami and come back, None of these things happen. We get a chance to look in the mirror as a society, a chance that we mightn't have gotten, at least since I know myself, because everything on pause. And I say it a few times. When it's no big carnival, no big Christmas, no Eid, no Diwali, no Easter, the normal runaways that we have, and whether the runaways on a plane or is on a bottle, the runaways that we have, we don't have them anymore. There's no escape. There's no every Friday to go buy Naris and Frankies and Cetas and Sions and them. It have nowhere to go. So the reality is we forced to look in the mirror and face ourselves. And I spent a lot of time, just like you last week, following this story about Andrea Bharatt, God bless her soul, and all the others who have passed away. And her father is amazingly strong. Like I keep watching this man and I thinking, boy, I don't like to think about it, because when I think about it, I think of my son going through something like that, or you think about your son or your daughter going through something like that. That's real hard. That ain't no joke. That's no joke. I see my grandmother bury one of her daughters, Auntie Maria, my darling. And she was, my aunt at the time was a full woman. She was no child. My grandmother is a full old woman. She's a grandmother already. And I see the pain on her face and everything that she went through when she had to bury her daughter. Burying a child is no joke. And I remember the priest in my aunt's funeral saying how difficult it is for a mother to bury a child. We expect that our children will bury us. I dealing with things like, so my guy Nick Dean, and go back and check out that episode from Nick Dean on financial advice. Please listen to that episode on financial advice from Nick Dean. I'm learning a lot. I am signed up for Nick's courses, and I am dealing with Nick personally to deal with specific things about what I thought was good investments and good insurance policies, and specific things that I did that I thought I was good. And I'm forced to rethink all of it. So as an aside, go back and listen to Nick. But one of the things I'm talking to Nick about is estate planning. What's going to happen to me here tomorrow? What's going to happen to my family tomorrow if I'm not here? If I can't pay the bills and if I close my eye tomorrow and mortgage still outstanding, what's the deal? How's Zachary going to go to school? What's going to happen to him when he have children? What's his start giving him in life? I live in my whole life like if I am going to leave him on this earth. All of us do it, eh? So don't imagine that. Let me stay in a good space. But I was looking at the whole, from the funeral thing. Now, when it comes to funerals, right? I had to say something about funerals. I don't like to go down this road too much, but something about funerals is real important to me. I think when somebody passes away, the funeral gives me a certain amount of closure that I might not have had before. And I think it's how I grew up in St. James too, because you see, when I was a child in St. James, we used to play in the cemetery a lot. It's my song weird, right? But people who from St. James go understand what I mean. And I think I said this in this podcast before. So we used to fly kite in the cemetery. Easter time was when I remember going to the cemetery often. Because you make a little kite home and thing, and now you put a little razor oil on the tail. We're going to play war with kite. See who could cut down who kite. And we used to run through the whole cemetery. Now, the reason for that was because the cemetery had no overhead lines. It was the only place in St. James where you could have fly kite and they had no electricity line over it, right? So you could fly kite comfortable. Now, there's also a place called the Queen's Park Savannah, if we're being honest. But who walking quite by the savannah when we could fly kite right in the cemetery? When you look at where I grew up in St. James too, everybody who grew up around my time in St. James either went to Junior Sec, Compre, St. James Sec, or Fatima. That was the schools all of us went. So when you look at Ramdu and Sheppy, my cousin, all the shepherds, all the shepherds went Fatima, Ramdu and all of them went Fatima. A bunch of people went Junior Sec and Compre. And St. James Sec. So everybody walking home. So when you're walking from Fatima, you're walking from Compre, you just walk through the cemetery. So as a place that we always, and you know much people, I just fall in the funeral. I pass and I see people crying. I just pass and see what's he saying. And like I tell people before, when you see you go and see about your family for All Saints and All Souls and light all them candle and thing. The morning after, we used to play candle wax. Oh, we going and take up all them candle. You know, they get soft kind of way, you could ball them up and go and pelt and make war. We used to do that all the time in the cemetery. All your candles, oh God, sorry for your relatives and things. They ain't gonna miss them candles anyhow. We're gonna pelt one another with all your expensive candles and things, right? So keep that in mind next time you go. But because of that, and even with funerals on TV, like Sharon, I remember that one in particular with Sharon from Sharon's Auto when I sit down and watch that whole funeral, the whole procession. I'm a little obsessed with funerals. So of course, I had to sit down and watch Andrea Bharatt funeral. And it was sad. It was sad. Don't care how you twist it. From the beginning of it to the end was sad. But what I saw it do for this country is, and I think it's a combination of the two things. So I saw on Facebook this week, Asha Javid. Salute to Asha Javid. Asha Javid, on her she's a journalist, right? I can't remember if she writing now with CNC3, with The Guardian or The Express. I can't remember. But she's a veteran journalist at this point. She's been doing it for a long time. And one thing I respect about Asha is her Facebook page in particular. Because she's thought-provoking and she puts things forward in a way that is very, very balanced in the way she asks questions. And she sets up questions well. I guess you see writers, you can't beat writers, no? So she had asked a question during the week that I found was interesting. So she said, I wanted to understand why you think this reaction came out of Andrea Bharatt and not out of Ashanti Riley. And she made sure to say, hey, I want constructive answers. Because you know how people could be, especially on her page. People get wild. But she quick. She quick with the chopper. She's deleting them comments. But I kind of went on and said, and many people shared that same sentiment. To me, the reaction to Ashanti Riley was uproar. But people did not come out in the numbers that they came out with Andrea Bharatt. And in my opinion, the two things boil over onto one another. We didn't get over the Ashanti Riley. That never came out of the news. I the one who's always come here and say, in a week or two, we don't forget about that and thing. But that did not come out in news at all. It didn't come out of social media. People are talking about it all the time. PH cars, take care of yourself, protect our woman. That was going on all the time. And then bam, this girl come and was missing. We hear the story about her missing for a little while, right? At that point, it wasn't bubbling the way it bubbled up eventually, yeah? When it started bubbling up was when I saw, and I said this last week, I see only are seeing something different on the political the Facebook pages of the political parties. I seen in the comments that people starting to hold the party to account. That's all I asked for. I don't care who you're supporting or if you're neutral or what. We had to hold our political all leaders. We had to hold them to account. So I started seeing that from last week. But when they went live and people were speculating, hey, it looked like they find a body up in a repo. And people were saying, the hope is not her. I mean, people were saying that innocently. I don't think they mean they don't care who it is. I think they just meant they want the girl to be alive. Who wouldn't want that? And unfortunately, we know how this story pan out. So people were upset. And let me go to this, right? Before I talk about the political influence and if Kamala should go and Rowley should not go and who looking for political mileage and all them things might be true. But the reality is this. Malcolm Gladwell is one of my favorite authors, right? And he polarizing. If you read a lot, you could either real like Gladwell or real dislike him. So his books, his most popular one was Outliers. I don't think Outliers was his best book. But I think his latest book might be one of the best I read, Talking to Strangers. The thing about Gladwell is feel like you're reading randomness. It's feel like you're reading randomness. Like he's just saying random facts and you're trying to figure out what exactly he's talking about. And I guess so used to him that I didn't feel that way by the time I was reading Talking to Strangers. I understood fully where he was going, and Talking to Strangers is a great book. It made me rethink the way I do or the assumptions you make when you meet people and all those things. Like when Talking to Strangers, he debunked my whole theory about job interviews. In job interviews, I want to see you, get a feel for your body language and thing. All that is a waste of time, as far as I'm concerned now after reading Talking to Strangers. But the first book I was introduced to from Gladwell was Tipping Point. And I remember reading it the first time and I thinking, but what is this? He's just saying the obvious. If things gain momentum, they will eventually get very, very popular. That sounds so obvious to me. But after I read it a third and fourth and fifth time, like I like Gladwell a lot, right? So I go back to it all the time. It makes a lot of sense. And what he was trying to talk about is why some ideas and some things pick up steam and others don't. And listen, when I read that book, it might have been 2007, 2008 when I read that Tipping Point the first time. And it came out since the year 2000, like Y2K. Now think about it, right? For most of us, the internet was nowhere near what it is today when he read that book. So the concept of things going viral wouldn't have been as popular then as it is now. But his book talks about why things go viral. And I mean, not in those words. Maybe he should update Tipping Point for this internet era. I wonder if he ever thought about that. Somebody tell Gladwell I say so, right? The thing about it is, when you look at TikTok videos and some of them get so popular and shared all over the place, or little memes that are created, maybe you might wonder to yourself, like, why this stuff you create? And like, I trying to figure out why this podcast not reaching a tipping point. I find like every week I have the same 150 people listening and trying to figure out about why I'm not getting to thousands of people. But that book provides some light on that. So he says, I'll get into a little bit of detail on this because I want people to understand where I'm coming from with this overall. Gladwell was talking about how tipping points come about, and he identified three types of people that need to be in place for a tipping point to happen. He called them connectors, mavens, and salesmen. So he said connectors. Connectors have a massive social network with many acquaintances, not friends. He was particular about saying acquaintances. So you know some people who, anybody who know everybody and who just everybody know them. Like my connector in my circle back in UE days used to be a woman named Swazette John. Salute to Swazette. I know she's been listening. But just Swazette just know everybody and everybody knows Swazette. She's just one of them kind of people. So what he was saying is that you need people like that who are connectors, because when you get word to them or they can spread the word, it tends to pick up a lot of steam quickly. Now, carefully used to say in the book about celebrity endorsements and so, because yes, celebrities know a lot of people, but they don't really have that type of acquaintance type connection. So I know Lara, but Lara don't know me. But me and Suzette know one another. So messages that come through her, they have a little more weight and they could get a little more momentum. Then he said he needs salesmen. He said they boast about ideas they love and are incredibly positive, and they boast about ideas they love and their incredibly positive energy is contagious. We all know people who are salespeople. When they like something and they start talking about it, they could influence people to go and listen to that thing or watch that thing or watch that meme. Or too. Like, you know what we do? And I don't know how much people has admitted. Sometimes we see something on Facebook and it's funny, but then we watch to see who posts it first before we like it and think. I don't know if you guys do that sometimes. So the salesman is somebody who could get the idea there. The salesman might not know as much people as the connector, but the connector is the one who opened that door for many, many people to see it. And then the maven. He said the maven is one who hoards information in order to be a source of great tips to the network, the people of which they greatly influence with their advice. So the maven is somebody who is more like a subject matter expert. So when it reaches them, they have a lot of details. They have dates, they have facts, they have numbers. So that they validate what happened between the salesman and the connector. So that, think of it in our terms, so that you ever get a message from somebody and you ain't know if to share it yet because them suspect bad. Well, the maven is the one who's validated this information so that if you see that person behind it or talking about it, you know that it's real and you know that it's valid. So it starts gaining more momentum. But the main thing he said is that those three people in the circle are necessary for an idea to quote unquote go viral or to reach the tipping point. But what he was saying is that none of that will matter if the idea itself not sticky. So if the thing not sticky, in other words, it don't have any social currency. It's not something that interesting or it's shocking or it's something about it. It has to be emotionally appealing to get any of those three people involved and to get people to hold on to it in the first place. So hence the reason why you get a celebrity to bring it in. You find somebody who is connector, salesman, and maven, and you find all of them for your campaign. You put the campaign out there, and nobody's still listening to your blasted podcast. It comes down to the fact that it's not emotionally appealing to enough people. People not reaching it. Don't have the three people there. So the stickiness not there yet. So the reality is this. Going back, what I have to do with this whole story. The thing about it is, in my opinion, that Andrea Bharatt situation or murder or that exposure of who we are as a people and what our society is really just reached a tipping point. Now, long before he got to the three things about the three people, the connector, the salesperson, and the maven, he was talking about the societal factors, the environmental factors that had to be there. You think about it. Just last year, maybe 2-3 months away from this point in time last year, we would have had what happened with the Black Lives Matter movement and George Floyd, some activism happening here in terms of staying away from places like Starlight and so on, who coincidentally find himself in the middle of this. He couldn't make that up. And all that was bubbling. Add that to the fact that money not running in the way it would usually run in this country, people losing jobs, people income limited, people also not going to work on a daily basis. A lot of people from working from home. Is not the same work environment that we had. We have no Friday lime to go and drink no beers. We have no Canaval, Christmas come and go, Valentine's come and go. We forced to face ourselves. So the society ripe to pick up on any issue. And I'm not taking anything away from the work that people would have put in to make these past few days what it was, including Andrea Bharatt's father, who was very much a part of it. And I'm not sure how much he was as an organizer, but you could see he wanted to be a part of it because the grief and the exhaustion he would feel from having to bury his daughter is absolutely going to be there. But I get his sense, without him saying anything, I haven't heard him speak yet, but I get his sense that he himself, as a member of the society, fed up hearing these stories. He would have probably felt the same, not how he's feeling now, but he'd probably feel the way we feel when the Ashanti Riley story came out. That's why he making himself a part of it. Think about it. Don't think about it, right? But if anybody had to bury a child, the last thing you want to do is be in a rally and be in funeral like Stacey tell me, boy, the man had to drive through and wave because people waving at the car when he passing. No normal person don't want to go through that. A normal person want to just deal with that, and you know what I mean? So it's clear that he himself and his family fed up. Everybody, and we always say it. We say, boy, you don't know when this thing will reach home by you. So I think it's really a combination of those factors that make the whole country reach that tipping point. And I'm saying all this in response to this idea that people putting forward that the opposition is politicizing the death of Andrea Bharatt. I'm not denying that, that them could do that how much they want. But what I will say is this. If Kamla Prasad Bissessar feel she could influence this amount of people to come out and stand up in this way and drive car from South and ride motorbike all the way to by Parliament and stand up and listen to speech from Ian Allen and Incha Ishmael and what's my partner name again? Philip Alexander. These guys do not have the influence to do this. And when you think about something from my family, let me talk about Kamla after. Incha Ishmael, the last time Incha Ishmael had a crowd like that to talk to, he had to give away food and give away money. If these fellas and them could have controlled that amount of people, they would have do it every week. They have nobody who like a stage more than Ian Allen, Philip Alexander, and maybe Incha Ishmael to a lesser extent, but definitely, you see Ian Allen and Philip Alexander, them men, once it's an action, and once they have a camera and them could be there, two of them showing up. Ian Allen, he and Walter are lesser extent because at least he's the man when time to look for body and thing, he up in the bush too. You could give him credit for that. But Philip Alexander, when you see his lights time and his camera time, Philip going to be there. Watson probably couldn't get a flight. He was the only man missing from that thing, that vigil by the Red House. I guess he have other problems to solve over there. They were there and they were present and talking to a big crowd of people, but the crowd, they cannot pull that crowd. If they have to pull that crowd, they have to give away something. It documented. Unless they're giving away something. You remember Philip Alexander political rallies? Me neither. Nobody ain't going that. If you be honest, nobody leaving their home to hear Philip Alexander say nothing. He used to do something in a park up in Lanch Park there with a back of a van. It's about 6 people and a couple dog and these kind of thing and bypassers who watching. He cannot pull a crowd like that. In Shanishmal had to give away plenty things to pull a crowd like that for any reason. And Ian Allen in the same boat. So when you look at the amount of people who came there, it's kind of dismissive and ridiculous to think that the opposition make them. Kamala Persad cannot pull that crowd. For her to pull that crowd, it has to have an election going on. She have to pay plenty people to show up, to blow horn and all the foolishness we do around election time. She have to give away plenty jersey and promise plenty thing go happen when they win. They cannot pull that crowd. And they have to give away free drinks too, because plenty free drinks give away in them political rally and free food and all kind of things. So they can't pull the crowd. They do not have that influence over people that they would want you to believe that they have. So let me dismiss that one time. The idea that Kamala politicizes, she could politicize what she wants. She cannot pull that crowd. As Gladwell saying, unless you have connectors, mavens, and salespeople, which they probably had there to be able to pull that, because I didn't only see it one night or 2 nights. Up to Sunday, Canaval Sunday, I was driving up the highway and there are a huge rally, a bunch of cars going up the highway. Even if you want to give them credit for pulling that crowd the first night, they cannot sustain that for so long. It have no election, it have no promises. People not doing it for any gain. People doing it because they're fed up. You see in all different race, all different class, all different stature people. So the question is why they didn't show up like that for Ashanti rally. Well, hold on. Because unfortunately, we're in a country where with all the rallies and all the letters and all the different things, nothing has changed. They're saying that bill passed and thing, but nothing didn't change. The bills, right? And just to go away from that a little bit, the bills that they're saying that they want to pass is bail, and all you realize that everything we're talking about, the person done dead already. None of those things are preventing anybody from getting raped and killed. None of them. All them things is after the fact. Lawyers is show up after the fact. That legislation is for after. After something happened, how we would deal with it. So sad to say that we're going to be in it, because the problem is us. We have to look at ourselves as individuals, how we raising our children, how we educating ourselves. Those things are not things that will be solved overnight. So the country already reached a tipping point. We here. And it has been heading towards this point, and it will boil over. Like again, I was talking about Asher Javid earlier. Salute to my boy Joel Julian. So Joel, I couldn't put it better than how he put it on Facebook. I was talking about it here the other day, where he showed his pressure cooker, and he showed, remember the little weight on top? He put that as Canaval to Lego the little steam, and I could replace that with Canaval, Christmas, all these things, Easter, Diwali, Eid. We always have something that causes us to turn away or to run away or to forget. But we have none of that again. We had to see it. So the country is bubbling up. The pressure is high. So for those who saying Kamala and them politicizing the issue and Philip and them politicizing, yeah, they probably are. But we have to appreciate that two mistakes I don't want us to make. I don't want us to make the mistake of assuming that a crowd of that size is politically motivated, because they're not. And those politicians cannot influence that amount of people to do nothing as much as they would want you to believe it. And then we had to get over this notion that every Indian is a UNC and every African is a PNM. It's stupidity. It makes no sense. That mentality not going to carry us anywhere, and it's not going to help us solve any of the problems. Because one thing I could show about Indian, African or what, when you read that news, all of us feel the same way. And they have something I will talk about this in the next podcast, right? Because I don't went too far into Gladwell already. I don't want to make the whole thing an academic thing. But Harvard designed that test on biases, and one day I will do the test myself so I can talk about my own results on it. And then I'll talk about the test here and maybe drop a link to it so people could go and do the test themselves. I will just say for now that I wanted to appreciate that is when you see somebody who looks like you, or who is familiar to you in some way, or who you could relate to more than you could relate to another person, it is quite normal for you to feel for that person more than you would feel for somebody who does not look like you, who you don't connect to in the same way, and who you don't have a lot in common with. Until we're willing to admit that as people, we're not going to go nowhere, because then everything will be seen as racially motivated and this racist, and if all you're doing this and when all I don't have time for that. You know me. But in the midst of the issue too, another thing that bubbling up, and I myself was guilty of this because I was on a podcast last week saying that the police frustrated. Like when you see police beat a suspect to death, it tells me again about that tipping point that we reach on a certain level of frustration. Well, when I get deeper into that story and I read it now, and I think everybody would have read the article, I hope so, that was in the Express on Sunday morning. If you get your hands on a Sunday Express and check out I'll get a piece of it. It's written by Denise Wren, right? So it says, 35-year-old Tumpuna Road Arima resident Andrew Morris was beaten to a pulp by police while he was being interrogated for the kidnapping of 23-year-old Andrea Bharatt. Morris's criminal records, quote-unquote, shows 2 marijuana possession charges in 2004 and 2006. A Sunday Express investigation has revealed that on the 31st of January, heavily armed SWAT officers descended on Morris's Arima home. He was a heavy-tea driver and a car rental businessman. Based on information from a 24-year-old suspect already in their custody, police claim that Morris was involved in the kidnapping of Bharatt, and the vehicle used in her abduction belonged to Morris. Bharatt was kidnapped on the evening of January 29th. Arriving at Morris's home in a convoy of black and white, heavily tinted SUVs, SWAT officers proceeded to mercilessly beat an unarmed Morris in front of his yard while interrogating him on the whereabouts of Bharatt. Now, let me just read this last paragraph. Video footage seen by the Sunday Express contradicts statements by Police Commissioner Gary Griffith via a media release and a media conference on February 3rd that Morris immediately began to act violently when the attempt was made to arrest him. Quote unquote, during his attempt to resist arrest, Morris reportedly fell on the ground and in doing so also caused an officer to fall. Morris continued to struggle with the officers and resisted efforts to subdue him, Griffith said. Now, if you remember last week, Griffith had come out and explained how the guy died. And he said that the fellow was basically, as the article said by Denise Wren, Sunday Express, they say the man was fighting up from the time they went to apprehend him. They end up in a struggle. He fall and the officer fall. And the image I had in my mind is 2 of them fall down on the ground and he's still fighting the officer and thing. And then the thing, and he get a bad lash, but they say he fall off a chair and the man end up dead. Now, I had to go back on my own state, because I mean, last week I said it in a flippant kind of way, because I frustrated just like I would have felt the police frustrated. But at the time, of course, I don't know his sort, because I myself was saying when they go back to the police station, I think it is a police station in Arima where the Arima police who dealing with the case have somebody who they well know. You know, sometimes I always say it, you know, the police damn well know who doing what and who ain't doing what. But in this case, it's SWAT officers. Now, I want to take a flashback to when Gary Griffith now come up as police commissioner. You all remember one of the first things Gary Griffith did was to make people take a lie detector test to determine who will be a part of his team or not. Now, my first impression of that was that he probably want to make sure that he's not dealing with corrupt police. So you want to get police there who honest. But after this little situation here, it making me wonder if he ain't just do that lie detector test to know who will make sure what happened in sort stay in sort. It's probably that. Because, number one, Gary Griffith and SWAT just find themselves wherever the most high-profile case is. So when you look at Philip Alexander and Inshan Ishmael and Ian Allen and the absence of Watson Duke was shocking. That's not surprising to me to see them in the midst of something that is a very, very big story. Anything that is a big story, you're sure to find them on the scene. But Gary Griffith operates in the same way as the commissioner of police. You all remember like flashback to when Bunji had the long walk to freedom tour. and he was coming to Trinidad, and it was said that he can't come here because of criminal charges and wouldn't be allowed to perform. And Gary Griffith find himself on stage as the police commissioner to sing from double G to double B. You remember that? You're like, as a commissioner of police, you insert yourself into such a simple matter. But the reality was the biggest thing happening in the country at that time was Buju coming for that show. So of course he find himself in that, and it's a limelight situation. He's going to get on that stage regardless of what happened. So makes you wonder. Sort find herself in the midst of this thing as if the police who investigated it incapable of doing it, and so far it's 2 suspects that dead long before they could reach the court. Now the court system in this country is a problem. You see the judicial system here? Like I was saying in the episode last week, when I was on jury duties, a man 15 years show up to now showing up, well, getting a trial for rape, and it eventually get trials, and he gone. Like, what happened to that 15 years of that man's life and that woman's life who would have been the victim? We not very swift when it comes to justice. Thank God a lot happening now where you're seeing court happening online, so cases coming up faster, magistrate trying it, I suppose it's Zoom or whatever court system they use, and I hope it's not Zoom. And that seems to be speeding things up. Like I tell only the other day, I get the speeding ticket. I went and paid recently, and you could pay it in TT Post. I take longer to find a park than it take me to go in and pay the thing. It was so simple. I have my ticket printed. It's not like long time when you had them bad handwriting and I could get my case through. The thing printed on it there. I pay the thing. When I check online, I'm going to treat the merit points, so that is me right there. So it seems as though some elements of it en route to speeding up, but the 2 sides of this coin is, and number one, the police catch them, don't give them no time to go and see no magistrate and take up taxpayers' dollars. You know, we like to talk like that and say, boy, if the police get rid of them, good riddance to them. But that could only make sense until it happens to you or somebody who you love. Because if you or somebody who you love, you could get accused of anything at any time. And if I get accused of something, I want to know that I could call my lawyer and say, hey, what's going on? This happened and I need help. And I could go in. I want to be comfortable in a cell too, to be honest. I find they should use, you see like what they use in place to do quarantine and thing, like how Pablo was in Pablo was K-Pop or one of them play. Yeah, put me in K-Pop too. Because as far as like, if we say innocent until proven guilty, I really don't find I should sit down in no cell, to be honest. I innocent until you prove I'm guilty, but this notion that we know you're guilty or you're guilty enough and we're gonna beat the truth out of you, and then when you're dead, the boss, the man on top, could write a statement like he wrote to say, hey, he fall off at you. You know what I mean? He fall hard. And then I saw the Minister National Security having to do a press conference to say he interviewed guy. I mean, he do a press conference and he said nothing and what he says is the same. Because I didn't understand when he called a press conference, I tell myself, well, the border go and open or something nice happening. But it was to talk about he spoke to Gary and them to find out what is happening, and nothing came. I don't know what that press conference was about. So it will be interesting to see how Gary Griffith responds to this, because if the Express saying that they have video footage of what happened, and I hear Stuart Young say, if somebody have video footage, they should report it to the relevant authorities, it's odd. It's odd. That is very, very odd to me. Because if I name this episode Gary Griffith, or I make a post about Gary Griffith on the, I do the little timestamp for the episode so you know where to skip to and thing. If I do that, Gary Griffith will probably come in my DMs or answer me on Facebook, which is the most intimidatory thing I've ever. I mean, why would the Commissioner of Police be answering somebody on Facebook? I don't know. That is intimidation at its best. But I don't like calling his name, and I don't like saying nothing about him, and I don't want to make him no image for nothing, for him to call me and tell me this, that, and the third. And you're seeing where if you challenge him, he's sending police. He's using the police to send by you to question you about things. I was watching Andrea Bharatt live yesterday, and she was saying that a man in Grandy who make a post about how ridiculous Gary Griffith's story was and it wasn't adding up. Gary DM'd the man to change his post. He changed the post, and then Gary sent police by the man to investigate the man for 3 hours, to question him for 3 hours, and like claiming that, or trying to say that he might have information. The way he talking, he have information about what happened to Andrea Bharatt. I mean, somebody had to be checking on these things. I wonder, like, Gary Griffiths is a lord unto himself. He could just do what he wants and send police anyway. That's a scary thought. And it's especially scary when you hear stories about what has happened to this man. Because whether this man guilty or innocent, we will never know. And if he connected, you know how much times that I see pop up on my phone, human remains and things found in a repo, bodies found, this, that, more. If this man was really part of a ring of people that making women disappear in this country, no, we don't know. And, you know, when two of them dead, I don't trust politicians and things, you know me? And I don't trust them police neither. See them police who dealing with these kind of things, because how are you so efficient even with the beating? How come these two men end up dead? Something happening that we don't know about? These things are happening to these young girls. Somebody implicated at a high level that we don't know about, that we can't afford for suspects to be going to trial and thing. What happened? Somebody had a level with me, because this story not adding up. So this is one I'm keeping my eye on, because I want to see what's going to happen with Gary Griffith over the next few days. Because this story clearly not adding up. For a man who's respond so quick to people on Facebook when he name call, the Minister of National Security come in and say, if you have video evidence, bring it to the people. Why only don't go for the video evidence? Something ain't adding up. Something not adding up. Only know everything. Gary know everybody who comments and call his name on Facebook. You don't know where the Express is? Minister Young? Gary Griffith? All you don't know who's Denise Wren? All you don't have problems with Denise Wren since whenever. If all you want to get the video, all you could go and get. Why would you say why would you call a press conference, and in that press conference you say, if anybody have video evidence, bring it forth? What are you talking about? But again, it reeks. It's sounding like somebody knows something. So when we hear crying and marching and lighting candle and fighting among one another to say this is political thing and who is political this and that, it seems as though the people who doing these things, they protect it all. Is it that we hiding somebody who behind these murders of these women and this disappearance of these women? I want to know. Because when the Minister of National Security, top gun, and head of police, the top gun, the commissioner, and after all you have a meeting, you come in a press conference to say, if you have video evidence, bring it forward. So you can pass by Express before the press conference and go and watch the video. If Denise Wren could get a video, who is you? But anyway, let us see how it play out. I want to see what's going to happen over the next few days. I'm watching them side eye. And I with you. I'm in support of any movement. And the bigger the movement gets, and the more the activists activate, if I could put it like that, the better it would be for all of us. And hold your political party. Me and telling you don't like which one you like. But hold them accountable. If you see in areas where they're lacking, pull up their socks. Now, last thing I want to talk about on this, right? I don't mind. Because some people say, Kamala went the funeral and this and that and the thing and the rallying go and all these kind of things. Now, I don't mind about that. Number one, I've always felt that Kamala Persad-Bissessar has been able to at least show a higher level of compassion than Rowley. That's just, maybe it's because she's a woman, I don't know. But Rowley's not the softest. I mean, the thing about him, when he's gentle and he's soft, he's the nicest person to have. But boy, when he get mad, he had to get some control, but just stay calm. If he could stay in calm mode right through, you'll be one of the best leaders we ever had. Now, I don't know where I'm on the issue. I kind of neither here nor there, because if Kamala choose to call and go and present herself, I don't know what was the purpose of her talking there. I don't think she should have done that. I think it was a bad move. If it was my son, I telling you, one time she cannot talk. This is a funeral. What you coming to talk about? To talk about mothers and no. You see me? If you had to talk, you had to know me and you had to know my daughter. Don't come by me with no sort of small talk. Don't use my grief as your stage for anything. And I probably, if it was me and it's my son, I might even be wary of the Ian Allen and maybe it's just because of how I feel about politicians. So I might not have joined that call, but I could see where, even as I was saying, Andrea Bharatt father would be fed up himself. He fed up hear stories like this. So I could see it to a certain extent, but I don't know if I personally would be able to put up with that. During that time, what would be the worst moment in my life I couldn't handle? I just listen to Kamala talk on the nations, and I can't handle that, honestly. So I think it was out of place to invite herself there to speak or whatever. I think it was very, very good that she would have reached out to the family and extend her condolences and stuff. And I seen members of the family saying that Rollers never did that. I think he should have. When the whole nation behind an issue like that, maybe you should make it your duty to at least call. At first I was saying he should have go to the funeral too, but I don't think so, to be honest, because it's so difficult for him in the position that he in. Because I think that as much as I was feeling like he should go to the funeral, I think I'm a reasonable person, but I don't think plenty people are very reasonable. So the next thing would happen when he go to the funeral is people would say, oh, why he ain't go Ashanti rally funeral? And maybe he was right. It's not always the best way, or I should say, the way he say things is not always the greatest, but he was probably right in that if I go there, it would just politicize the whole thing. Now the opposition leader, so what you going to do? You going to talk? You going to turn into a political debate or what? So maybe he do the right thing by staying away, but he should have, and if he hasn't yet, probably just reach out. Is really, whether it's a political issue or not, it's definitely a national issue, and your voice would be great. Just hearing that to say condolences, anything we could do for you, we could do. You know what I mean? And that, I don't think that's politicizing. That's just one human to the next. I ain't sure what Paula May Weeks do if she would have done the same. Now, I promised only last week that, like I was saying, Joe Budden and them have their outstanding and the gap band and things to put them back in the right mood after heavy topics. I tell Ollie the final song. So we had to get back on the right track. So this is the song to get me back in a good mood, right? Play the music, play the music. Play the music. Every day. I can't stop having fun. Only want is the music all night long. Until the party done. Cause I can't stop having fun. I don't stop this. Pump me up with the music, pump me up, cause you know I'm addicted. Nothing I can do without it. Oh gosh, stand me over the pumping. Yeah. Oh God, alright, so you're supposed to be back in a good mood there, right? I mean, the thing is what it is, Trinidad is what it is, but we still have things to talk about. Listen, we nearly an hour and a half in. I feel I might be owing only a podcast because I only talk about two things an hour and a half gone. So I'm going to run through some things real quick here. First and foremost, for all these people into sports, I know all they don't like me to talk about sports, but they have a whole podcast on football by Burdie, Lasana Liebert, and Wayne Shepherd Barney. Take it in. It's on Wired 868. You could go on Wired 868, you'll find it. The first interview was with Shaka Hislop. It is hilarious. The second interview is with you know I'm not good at this, right? It's either Joe Hart, Kevin Hart, Stephen Hart, Calder Hart, or one of them Harts, right? So the ex-Trinidad coach. I'm never good with the name. But they have him on the podcast talking about like Trinidad just got a good quick 6-0. But they have him on the podcast and talking about it. So check out that Barney and Burdie podcast. It's really good. And there are some great interviews lined up before. Both of them know plenty about football, so it's always an interesting listen. What else we have here? Oh, Fitzgerald Hines. Boy. Better Fitzgerald Hines just stop talking. Don't say no more words. Don't say no words. Because in the midst of this thing, like we now come out, and I might have Eddie Hart. What even his name again? I'm saying Eddie Hart now. Eddie, what is this good mood song again? Because something wrong with Fitzgerald Hines, In the midst of that thing about Kamala and them going to the funeral, Fitzgerald Hines is the most tone-deaf man it have. What about a statement again talking about why this woman don't take her drunken self and go on and invite herself. It's like, dude, just stop saying words now. Let people like you. A matter of fact, even if you stop saying words, people ain't gonna like you. So just spare with the aggravation. What else happened this week? Jared Boot get locked up here. We talking about this week. By the time you're listening to this might be done, but I know Jules Sobian and them have something coming up called Mass at, I believe they said it was Napa. Maybe I'll find myself there Tuesday night. I wanna take in something for the carnival, do something for the season, but it's a little depressing too, boy. To be honest with you, every time I think about going and do something, I'm not staying in no chair, you know. So to avoid lockup, I might just stay home, but I would like to go to one of these production/shows, but I will continue to watch whatever offered virtually, even if I don't go to one of these shows in person, because I think the virtual thing is a vibe. And I mean, I know I'm knocking people, but thanks to everybody. I see people in costume today on Facebook. Two different kind of people. People like Akasi and them who post last year, Canaval. Yeah, which, I mean, that was fun looking at all that from what we missed out and what happened last year. And then there again, people like Omari Ashby, I see Burdie Barney in a whole jackass costume. She said she was going to play Juve and that she didn't play. My sister Janelle, them been quite in Maryland, them have on costume and thing. And, you know, you're seeing a little thing with Monday Night Mass going around, thing with people who in the savannah who go and see Moko Jumbies around the savannah and think I ain't sure gonna say, so I avoid some of it because I don't know how much my heart could take, but I'm very, very all in all, I think I'm happy about what we had for 2021 Carnival. Within these COVID times, it's imperfect, and I know, you know, we'll talk about it and we could always work on it and do better. But I think we could be proud as a country. All the bad talk, I all knock it a lot, but we could be proud. We come together and we do some things. All the major artists do something. Salute to people like Ojo who make our mornings that much more exciting. I listen to Blaze and JW every morning. Them men keep that vibes up. Salute to all the artists who release music. I was real worried about that at a point in time. I say, well, boy, artists mightn't, you know, it's no competition, it's no money to make, no fets. I was worried about them doing anything at all during the season, but gratefully, and here now, some of the sweetest music come out between Nadia Batson and Patrice. And you know who's I'm in a mood outside of Ding Dong. You don't know how I feel about Ding Dong already, but you know, this damn second star is how me in a mood, you know, boy. Every time I hear that, I tell the admin, I see myself in a fet calling somebody the admin. Oh God, boy. We had to get a do-over, you know. We had to fet with some of these songs that come out for this COVID, yeah, that backyard jam. And like Stacey was telling me, I didn't like the TC, but I kind of like that TC song and that backyard jam rhythm. It has so much of nice music, like you know me. The groove is the place for me now at my age. I can't do it too much of the power soca. I ain't have the energy for it again. But it has so much of nice little grooves, boy, and not all, but I'm proud of we, man. I find we do a good job. We had a nice little carnival, and I'm not just salute to the artists and the organizers and the promoters and things, but also salute to the patrons like Carla and them who actually went and didn't. You know, remember every week during COVID, they used to say somebody go and jackass the scene. Everybody do good. People went the fet and they sit down and whine, and you know what I mean? From since when Second Star did his own, it seemed as though people, for the most part, follow and do what they had to do. So we went through a virtual carnival with some hybrid type events, and they had no spike in the numbers. We had less spike in numbers than when it had, you remember when it had political season, it had more spike in numbers than we have now. So I'm feeling proud of we are proud of ourselves. Even the people like me who we ain't going nowhere, but we take in things home, we enjoy, we make the most of it. And I find it to be, it's such a Trinbagonian thing. You know what I mean? It's such a love. We just, it's like how we could do that more. How we could do that 365 days a year in every situation. Rather than letting ourselves get divided by people who have it in their best interest to divide us. Why we can't just come together and do things like these and enjoy it, whether it's in person. Like some of the things when I was watching it online and on Twitter and on Clubhouse while I'm watching it, I get the same vibe as I get sometimes when we in a fete, where there's no separation between we. When we in pan and you could get drinks from anybody cooler, you could eat food from people. When a sweet song play, people hugging up people and chipping down the road. We find a way to do that virtually, regardless of everything that was said. We find a way to enjoy that camaraderie and that brotherhood and that sisterhood and just that love that Canaval is. We find a way to do it virtually. So I'm feeling proud as a Trinbagonian. I'm feeling good as a fetter. Even non-fetters, the community who do partake in Canaval for religious reasons or other reasons, everybody kind of just went along with it, and we let people have this space to do what they was doing, and it was just nice, boy. And as much as some people hurt me today with them pictures they post and thing, it put what's in my eye too, to see the love that people have for it. And you see the statement that nothing can stop the Canaval, it was never more real than now. It's something that people say all the time, and they talk about Captain Baker and where we come from, but our spirits are alive and well, boy. When it comes to them things, nothing can stop us. And we just have to keep that same mentality when it comes to our economics and our politics and and everything that make us up as a country and everything that will push us forward. We just have to keep that same mentality and that spirit, because nothing can stop we. If nothing can stop we, we're Canaval concerned. I like Nikolai Salcedo, the way he say it, boy, I couldn't say it better than him. Where he say, boy, nothing can stop this. You could close your borders if you want. So I don't know when since we learn politicians make we this, that, and it. We don't care about politicians. You think about it. We don't care about them. We don't study that. We find a way to overcome regardless of what it is happening. So we just have to stay in that mode and do what we do, and then go and get we ashes after and come back together Easter like normal, like just what we are accustomed doing. And we have a 2 Canaval next year, and we good to go. So I'm going to see Ole next week, but I'm going to leave Ole with a little song that I personally, I played this on the podcast before, you're going to know it's one of my favorite songs, but I personally love to hear this song on a Canaval Tuesday evening, because you know something about me, I love Canaval, and it's undescribable how I feel in a fete and how I feel on the road and thing. But I also like to wake up Ash Wednesday and go to work. It's a funny thing. So this song is always put me back in that mode and remind me that we put 2021 to rest and we look forward to 2022. So I'll talk to you next week. Take in this one.
The moon is approaching and the crowd is gone. It seems like nobody is interested to carry on. Well, this time is like a wooden shack after a storm. Not a band nor a mass is wrong to perform. All I can see is some broken old bottles so far. An indication they Canaval is over. is all that music that sounded so terrific? I would like to know. The sweet, sweet saxophone, the pan and the trombone and so. What is wrong? Like the tourists and all disappear. Not a clown nor a bat can be seen